no time to talk. Music loud and women warm. I've been kicked around since I was born. You know it's alright.
Hello and welcome back to another Staying Alive podcast. Yes, you're joined with your host, me, again, Peter Starr, with another special guest coming on today to talk about his vape journey and a much amazing story he has for us. So stand by for that. We're brought to you by the Alive Advocacy Movement.com. If you haven't heard of us, you know nothing about us, you should hop over to our website at aliveadvocacy.com. Check out the scan code that appears on the screen right now, or you can scroll right to the end and get it again. But look, don't want to scroll right down to the end. You want to hear this because this guy from Melbourne, Dimmy, better known as Dimitri, has got an amazing bit of story to go through, and really looking forward to it. So without further ado, please welcome the one and only Demi. How you doing, Demi?
I'm doing fine, thanks, Pip. How are you?
Good. Welcome to the Staying Alive podcast for the first time.
Thank
Another
you.
one.
Another
Awesome.
One. Another one bites the dust.
Another
I'm not-
victim.
Another
Another
victim.
The Special Victims Unit. No, I'm only joking. No, look, everyone's gotten out of these podcasts alive and well so far, Demi. In fact, most people got on the other side well and truly a lot better, and people who've listened to it have learned lots from people like you. Just, dare I say, another vapor. But we all matter, I believe. And this is why I want to talk to you a little bit more about your vaping journey today, Demi.
Sure.
How did you come across vaping, and what led you on this path to becoming smoke-free?
Okay. Well, I was a tobacco smoker from a very early age. I had my first cigarette, I suppose, about the age of 9 or 10. I won't go into great detail. It doesn't matter who and what. But I started smoking regularly at home at the age of 15. My mum turned around and said, "Look, I know you're smoking. Stop going behind the shed and in the toilet and what have you. Smoke in front of me if you're going to do it." So she was pretty cool mum. So I smoked for many years, and I did actually. A lot of things happened in life, and then I got to a point in around 2002, 2003, and decided to give up. And actually managed to give up without vaping, without just use patches.
Oh, wow, okay.
But I was on medication at the time, and it was fairly heavy sort of medication. And I found that I won't go into, I won't name it. I found it easy to give up, or easier than I thought at the time. And
Right.
I had a wife at the time, so much younger than me, and we both gave up together. And I was off the ciggies for 8 years.
Wow,
Now,
okay.
yes. So I happened to, I used to go busking up in South Bank in Melbourne quite regularly. And one night coming home from busking, I was on the train. It was sort of after midnight, and I saw a packet of White Ox, which is my favourite, poison when I was smoking. And I looked at that and I thought, it was a full packet, like someone just bought it, probably rolled 2 smokes out of it. And I thought, and I picked it up and I thought, okay, I'll take it home, but I'll just put it. So I put it away for about 6 weeks, 8 weeks, didn't think any more of it. And then something went down and I felt a bit stressed, and I thought, I've been off smokes for 8 years, I can have one. And okay, that one led to 2, led to 10, led to 20. And 6 to 8 weeks later, I was back where I started of 40 years of smoking.
Wow.
So, yes.
It sort of shows that the dependence on nicotine, once your brain's had a good chance to experience it for some time, like pre that 2003, it still occasionally must look at that tobacco and go, yeah, maybe. And that's why you took it home with you, right?
Yeah, well, there was the good angel and the bad angel, and the
Right.
good angel kept winning out for 6 or 7 weeks, and then one day the devil hopped up and said, "Nah, look, you can have one and then leave it, you know."
Yeah.
But that was my mistake. One led to, once too many, thousands never enough type of thing.
Yeah, you're
So
on
I
the
found
wagon.
myself, sorry.
You're back falling off the wagon.
Yes, yes, yes. Anyway, so I found myself, and I was in a relationship at the time with a non-smoking lady, and I was trying to hide it, and eventually she said she smelt it, and then I had to, I come clean. And her son, sorry, her daughter's boyfriend, they were trying to give up cigarettes as well, and they walked in the door one day with little cigarette things, the
Oh yeah.
ones,
Yeah.
the little really piss weak ones that you buy from the tobacco, what do you call them? Yes, tobacco stations in the shopping centres. The Coringa, it was actually Fountain Gate Shopping Centre. So I thought, I might check this out because I'd heard of e-cigarettes. I knew nothing about them except that they were supposed to be like smoking. So I
Okay.
went and bought one, and it came with fluid, and the fluids were mainly PG,
Yep.
some flavouring in there from China, and they tasted like shit, and they had no nicotine in them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I tried with that, but that was just it was lost cause. Just didn't happen.
I can
Then,
empathise there.
sorry,
I can empathise there entirely. Yeah.
yeah,
So
it was like
I went there and you weren't able to maybe get the nicotine at one stage. So it's like, well, why am I still doing this?
exactly. So I kept smoking, and
Yeah.
then I sort of thought, nah, there's more to this. I've got to find out what's going, what the story is here. So I can't remember, but I ended up getting a proper nicotine starter kit from the United States through someone I met. Actually, I met him at a market, Caribbean Gardens Market. I was busking there, playing guitar and singing. And he just said to me, look, go online to this place, order it, and you can get nicotine, you can get, what strength you want. So I started off with a little, and again, they were cigarette type things, but they were longer and they were rechargeable, and they were a little bit more upmarket than the ones that I got from the tobacco station.
Right.
Um, and so it came with 18 milligram e-liquid,
Right. 18
and
milligram nicotine. Okay.
yeah, nicotine. Sorry, nicotine in the e-liquid,
Yeah. Right.
but it was very runny. So now knowing what I know, it was predominantly PG.
Yeah.
Uh, but I thought, okay, I've got this kit. I've paid a fair bit for it. I think it was 60 or 70 bucks. And it came with a few cartridges, and I bought a few flavours. So I persisted, and 2 weeks later, I was completely cigarette free.
Oh wow.
One of the mates up there said, "Oh, you want a ciggy?" And he gave me a tailor made, and I had 2 puffs of it, and it just tasted so foul. I just threw it on the ground, buttered it out, and I thought, "No, I'll wait till I get home." You know.
So look, obviously you're only a little bit over legal smoking age, looking at you, and hearing you. You're pretty young sort of a guy, but obviously had a lot of life experience.
Yes. Yes.
Um, what have you experienced yourself since quitting smoking with vaping? Have you noticed any changes? Have you noticed, your fingernails, looking prettier than normal? No, okay, maybe not. What
Okay.
have you experienced any other changes?
Well, I don't have a smoker's cough in the morning. That's the first thing I noticed, a while after I stopped tobacco completely. And I didn't stink like an ashtray. My
Right.
car didn't stink like an ashtray. My clothes didn't smell like stale cigarettes. And I had a couple of relationships over the years after where the other partners did not smoke.
Right.
So that was really convenient. I didn't really notice things like, my fingernails or anything like that. But certainly, I got to a stage also, I went on to a bit of a, okay, I lost my license
Right.
uh,
Naughty
because,
boy. What'd you do?
yeah, naughty boy. I wasn't, I was technically drunk driving. I got picked up the morning after, and I
Okay.
was in a bad space in my life. It was around 2010, 2012, not long before I started vaping. And I lost my license and for 14 months. And so I had a bike in the shed, and I decided, well, I got to get around somehow. So I jumped on the bike and I used that as transport, to get
Wow.
to the station to go busking, put the guitar and and the strap on the back and what have you. And so I was getting around the bike, and then I got more into the bicycle. I mean, it wasn't a very good bike. It was a bike with 21 gears or 16 gears or whatever.
Yeah.
And I really got into it, and I started doing crazy shit like getting on the bike and because I wasn't working. Because of health reasons, I've been on disability pension for quite some time. But I was going for rides like from um, Narre Warren to, not sure, Druin. And I
What's that?
actually
20
went,
kilometers? 30 kilometers?
oh, nah, I think it's closer to 60 or 70.
Wow.
I
So
used to
60 or
go for
70 kilometers.
I
So it's
used to go these crazy bike rides. They took all day, half the day
right.
to get there and half the day to get back.
Right.
Uh,
And your body felt good enough to do that. Although you
yeah,
had a bad night, you had a tipple, you put into this situation, you'd quit smoking with vaping. So what you're saying is, or maybe look, well, the next obvious question to ask is, how would your body fare? Do you think, if you had have been still a smoker? Would
okay.
you have been able
I
to would you have been able to ride 70 kilometers?
No, no. It just became a habit where I was cycling 40 kilometres each and every day
Wow.
without fail along the bike track on the Monash Highway here at Narre Warren. And I was vaping at the same time. Now, if I was still smoking the White Ox tobacco that I was smoking when I was a smoker, there is no way known I could have done that. I would have got puffed out. I wouldn't have had the willingness, I wouldn't have had it in me to even want to do it. But I found that the vaping did not hinder, my oxygen levels, my breathing. I was fit as a fiddle.
Bet it felt
Um,
good. I bet it felt
it,
good.
it felt great, yeah. But I was
Yeah.
vaping, and the vaping did not do anything to detract from my health. And I remember getting, being a, a, a doctor or something at a doctor's and getting oxygen O2 levels done. And my O2 levels have always been perfect, even since, all the time that I've been vaping since then.
Yeah. Um what is it that you think helps or keeps you vaping? Why don't you stop vaping? Like, you've been vaping for how many years now?
Since 2012, so about 12 years.
Right, it's about 12 years. So there'd be a lot of people out there maybe listening to this podcast today saying, come on, Demi, you're a big boy now. You can quit vaping, because, why are we still doing this, as the public campaign likes to say?
Yeah.
So I guess, why are you still vaping, Demi? Why aren't you just
Okay.
easily kicking the vape?
I've asked myself this a couple of times. Number one, I enjoy it.
Okay.
Okay.
But how do you
Um,
enjoy it? I mean, you're a grown adult. You should.
well, to me, I enjoyed smoking. When I was smoking, most people who smoke tobacco. will say, they enjoy it. They don't enjoy the coughing in the mornings and the phlegmy chests and getting sick or often and what have you. But I enjoyed smoking.
Okay.
And when I gave up smoking, something was missing from my life. But I filled that with, I guess, other things. I won't go into not
Right.
drugs or anything, but Um, but yeah, look, vaping. Okay, I also have a history of drug addiction and alcoholism,
Oh,
and I'm
okay.
not ashamed to say that because at the age of 19, no, sorry, 19, 27, I was a heroin addict, pretty badly into it,
Right.
and had enough. Had been using needle drugs for about 8 or 9 years and decided I'd had enough. My life was really, I was as low as I was prepared to go in my life, to any lower, and it would have been, slashing wrists
Oh,
material.
wow. Yeah,
Yeah, it
wow.
was a bad situation. I was married at the time. We didn't have any children yet, and went into long-term rehab. Stayed there for quite a while. Got clean, sober, and have had some relapses since. But predominantly, I've been sober. I am sober today. I don't drink alcohol. I don't use any illicit drugs. Um,
That's
and
awesome.
nicotine and vaping gives me, because I believe that I was born with a predisposition. It gives me something that I miss, or I'm predisposed to addiction. Okay, I firmly believe that, and I believe that people are born, or perhaps through their upbringing, they are predisposed to addiction more than others. Some people can go and use. I knew people who could go and use, heroin or speed or any of those drugs,
Yeah.
and they could use it
So,
for a weekend or a couple of. Sorry.
well, I was going to say, it's interesting you say that because there are some people who can just say, "Hey, I can just be a weekend smoker," or "I
Yes.
can, I can look, I
Yes.
can quit these. I can just give up tomorrow." And okay, maybe I might need a little bit of motivation or whatever, but I can quit the cigarettes, or I just don't feel like vaping anymore. I was a social vapor, or whatever the case might be, and no longer vape anymore. So it's kind of really interesting in that context that you raised there, so you kind of liken that you may have had a predisposition, possibly to some dependence things, and we're all wired differently, right? And if maybe we're wired in a way, and there's still a lot of science I think to come forward in this space yet. But I understand
Absolutely.
there's
Yeah.
been a lot done. Um, so there's Dr. Paul Newhouse. Recommend looking up that name on Google. One of the leading nicotine scientists in the world, who has been studying the effects of nicotine and the cognitive function, if you like, and how we may or may not be predisposed to the the effects of nicotine, the positive effects mainly. Of nicotine. And he's been doing that well before vaping was a thing. Been going for at least more than 20 years, 25, 30 years rather, with that study. So Dr. Paul Newhouse. But look, back to your journey. I think it's really interesting that, um, yeah, you do liken almost that stuff you've gone through as possibly just, nicotine just being another thing you may have been a little bit predisposed to. But you enjoy it.
Look, yes, but the way I see it is that nicotine isn't making me go out and do illegal things like I was doing when I was using, illegal drugs 40 years ago. It's not affecting my way of life. It doesn't have a negative impact on what I do on a day-to-day basis.
Sure.
You know, um, and I know that this is a lot. less harmful. If I was still smoking tobacco the way I was, how do I not? Okay, I smoked for 30, whatever, 40 years, gave up for 8 years, started smoking again about 15 years ago. If I was still smoking the way I was now, I would have severe health problems. I would probably have emphysema. Possibly I'd have lung cancer. I'd have problems with my blood pressure. I don't have
Right.
any issues along those lines.
It's really important to kind of understand your full journey, because it really is an important story, Demi. And what it tells us, or at least what I'm learning so far, is you've been through a hell of a journey to get off a lot of horrible hard drugs, and dare I say the lifestyle that probably accompanies that.
Yeah.
Um, and obviously that has its own battles to try and and move away and become healthier from.
Mhm.
Look, in comparison to trying to quit smoking, because no doubt, like most smokers, we've tried to quit smoking before, as you said, for 8 years or whatever. But there must have been a little something, something that thought, oh, look, I might just pick up that bag of White Ox. In comparison to quitting smoking, what would be the more difficult thing? The harder drugs, like the heroin, or smoking?
I would say definitely the harder drugs because there's a whole lifestyle and a way of thinking that goes along with it. They say when I went into rehab, they said to me, the first thing you got to do is you got to give up your playmates, your playground, and your playthings. You've got to find new ones of all of those. Whereas giving up or swapping from cigarettes or tobacco to nicotine, you don't have to do any of that. You don't have to find new friends. You don't have to change. You don't have to change your life on a day-to-day basis. I would go so far as to say, if I didn't have my vapes, I would probably relapse a lot more. I have had relapses, but not for quite a long time.
Right.
Uh,
When you say relapse, relapse to having a cigarette or relapse to
no,
worse
no, no.
stuff?
Relapse to alcohol and drugs. I haven't
Oh
relapsed.
wow. Yeah.
I
It,
haven't
it
had any.
it's
Sorry.
interesting you say that, Jimmy, because I've spoken to a lot of people. Obviously, appreciate I speak to people right across Australia from all sorts of varied backgrounds, nearly every day here, who are now vapors and have now quit smoking. And this associative comment that has been made to me by former drug users before, have said to me, if basically when I quit smoking with vaping, it not only helped them quit other harmful substances, such as hard drug substances, but if they were forced to go back to smoke again, that it would open up the doors, if you like, the to relapse, towards even the other stuff that they'd sort of stopped doing. Now, I don't want to be putting words in your mouth by mentioning that, and I haven't spoken to you much about that at all, Demi, but I'd like to see whether you how you feel about that, knowing that there are other people around Australia who are like that.
I would go so far as to say that if I didn't have my vaping, I think I would be probably relapse a lot more than I have. I have relapsed here and there. I mean, very occasionally I will have a drink, but I
Right,
can have a drink one night and then I can put it away and not touch it for 2 months, 3 months, 6 months.
right,
If I went back to hard drugs, and I wouldn't do it because I know what happens when you do. It's the same old story. I've got something here that the nicotine is a great. I watched that movie, the documentary last night. Do you know nicotine?
right. You don't know nicotine by Aaron B, but I highly recommend it and easily found
Yeah,
very
excellent,
easily found
excellent
Is
documentary.
an excellent documentary indeed, you're right. Easily found and free and easy to find on aliveadvocacymovement.com/videos. Yeah, so what did you learn from there?
Well, basically, I guess it cemented what I already know, and that is that nicotine is not an evil cancer-causing drug, that should be wiped off the face of the earth. Nicotine's been used for 8,000 years in one
And
form or another. And nicotine
yeah,
has calming effects, it has medicinal effects. I mean, they found this all out about cannabis, and now they're using cannabis for, to cure insomnia and all sorts of conditions.
did you
What I
know?
found,
Did you know? Here's a fun fact here for you, Dimmy. Did you know it's really interesting you say that nicotine has been used for thousands of years? Before white man came and invaded Australia, whichever way you want to say it, maybe they're strong words for some people. Before English or Anglo-Saxon settlement here in Australia, and our introduction of tobacco pouches as we basically almost slaved our indigenous or first peoples folk, and paid them with bushels of tobacco. Way back before all that happened, um, the indigenous population used to commonly use nicotinic plants like the acacia, etc., around the Australian bush, and there was actually probably the most commonly known or that was used was a plant, what they call patchouli. So they basically the nicotina bush, obviously nicotine containing, chew it up into a little lump and just put it between their gum and their lip and sort of chew through the day and sort of help them um, feel more alert, if you
yeah,
like. And it really didn't have any major detrimental effects, it seems, uh, from what studies that have been seen and done so far. But yeah, the history goes back thousands of years, yet there was no major harms. So here's the thing: our first peoples eh, here in Australia um, are really the pioneers of tobacco harm reduction when you look at it that way. Because it was not until they sort of maybe connected up there with the Indonesians, I hate to say, Papua New Guinea off the northern coast, they said, hey, look, you can smoke this shit. So there was apparently some that did smoke tobaccos, uh, but mainly they chose tobacco harm reduction. And I think that's an important lesson as we move forward here in tobacco
mm,
harm reduction here in Australia. That not only is it a national shame and a disgrace that Indigenous peoples around Australia are 3 to 4 times more likely to smoke the harmful cigarettes, and they are shunned away from the less harmful alternatives. In fact, told to quit vaping, just in the same vein as they're told to quit smoking.
yeah.
But look, that was just a little interesting tidbit I threw in there, Demi. Um, yeah, I think
Look,
it's
I firmly believe, and watching that, it was almost like the light went on last night at the end when I finished watching that documentary. That nicotine to me it's like a medicine. I find it calms me, it helps me relax, it helps my concentration. A lot of people who perhaps have, or predisposed to mental illnesses, or just a lot of us, we have clutter that goes on in our head all the time. We're thinking
yeah.
about this
I
and
think
that,
all of us do.
the
Yeah,
dog and the work, and so and so is doing this. What do we cook for dinner? Blah 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 blah.
yeah.
I just find the nicotine quietens down that clutter, and it gives me a feeling of calm and serenity, and that helps me stay sober. Because my prime mission right now here today is not to give up. Well, I don't smoke tobacco. My prime mission is to stay clean and sober. Because if I started drinking alcoholically or using drugs addictively again, that'd be the end of me.
Right.
I
We
I
don't want that.
wouldn't I wouldn't come back from it.
you're far too talented for that. Because
Well,
I
thank you.
mean, well, obviously you've spent a lot of years busking the streets of Melbourne, and
I did,
people
yeah,
have
I
been
did.
able to appreciate your talents over the years, haven't they?
Look, yeah, I've got a lot to offer. Yeah, oh yeah, I guess I am. I'm a talented guy. I'm a nice guy. I think I'm decent to be around. But you know, I want to be around for my daughters. I want to be around for myself. I'm in a pretty good place at the moment, but if we'll come to that maybe in a little while. But um, vaping has been a very important part of my sobriety, my journey of sobriety, and my ongoing journey of sobriety.
Yeah, that's absolutely paramount. Now, now the hard questions. Okay,
Yep.
they want to take this away from you, Demi. Obviously, there's the legislation across Australia, as you're probably aware well by now, that
Yeah.
they want to take vaping out of the hands of adult vapors for the sakes of an occasional teen vapor, to protect the teens. But 96% of us are adults who are vaping across Australia. Do they want to take it out of your hands, or do they want to make it as impossible or hard to locate? Not even more than one in every 100 chemists, if you're lucky enough to find, will hand you a chemist that will have a vape available over the counter, contrary to what sort of bullshit basically is being broadcast out there. I want to
Mm.
know. It's very important what you've just discussed in that context. How does that make you feel that you could find yourself one day, you've lost your vape, all you need is to vape, just maybe just to have a quiet time and get through.
Mm.
And what would you say to our politicians? What would you, maybe our new favourite viewer, maybe Mark Butler, and his supportive friends who are listening or watching to this? What would you say to them in regards to the fact that you may be lost into a position where you might have to pick up another White Ox or another black market cigarette at some point because you can't get hold of a vape?
The people like Mark Butler haven't got a clue. They don't know. You know, people who don't smoke and don't vape, they have not got the foggiest idea of what it's all about. They don't know what the benefits are. They don't know they don't understand the community of vapors. I say to them, piss off. Let us be able to get what we need to continue this. It's a recreational lifestyle or a habit, whatever you want to call it. You know, you can walk in and you can, and I keep saying this to everyone. I can jump in my car right now and I can go down to Coles and I can go into Liquorland and buy as much. I can buy, you know, as many bottles of vodka or Jack Daniels as I want. I can come home and for the next 6 months drink myself silly, and I'd end up with chronic liver failure and I'd be dead. All
And
right,
how many tobacconists have you got handed to you?
I can walk just, 50 steps around the corner and there's a Coles tobacco section. I can buy as much tobacco there or cigarettes as I want, come home and smoke myself to death and end up with lung cancer and emphysema. A good friend of mine, as you know, died a few months back from emphysema, which is wholly preventable. Had she swapped the vapes at the time that I was trying to get her to swap, chances are she'd still be alive today. But and you can buy alcohol as much as you want, and you can buy as much tobacco as you want, and the scientific evidence is there. You can't dispute it. People die, families and relationships are ruined. The jails are full of people that have been affected by alcohol. um, and the hospitals, we've got, what is it, I forgot, I think it's 2 million people every year, they said, die of uh, tobacco related. Oh, look, it doesn't
You're
matter the
on. Yeah,
You know,
we got deaths. We've got deaths in Australia well exceeding 20,000 deaths per year, and that is a death rate. That is a rate of death that is not in decline. That is not in
no,
decline.
no, it's not. No. And it's, those two things are available, and the government, I mean, they rub their hands together. They go, oh, let's put the excise up. We need to get some more money in the government coffers, so I'll put the excise up on tobacco and make it more expensive. And of course, people then they migrate to the black market, chop and cigarettes and what have you. But it's crazy that I can go out and buy alcohol and buy as much tobacco as I want, but I can't go out and legally buy the vape that keeps me sane and keeps me going on a daily basis. And I enjoy. And it does no harm to anybody.
That's a
Nobody.
fact. That's a
I
fact.
don't believe it does any harm to me. What right have these mongrels in government, in power, got to say, you can't do that because we reckon it's harmful, or for this reason, but you can go and smoke as much tobacco as you want and drink as much alcohol as you want. To me, that's just crazy. You either ban the whole lot or you regulate the whole lot.
Absolutely, but we've seen the result of bans so far, Jimmy, and you are in probably somewhere near the heart of it.
Mm.
We've seen so far over 100 fire bombings in Victoria alone in the last year and a half. In the last year and a half, um, does that mean that things are going well as far as tobacco policy when you've got gangs literally fighting over each other to rule supreme, to sell as many black market cigarettes for $10, $15, $20 a pack, usually at least 30% of the total of a price you would pay at the local Coles there, and a heap of vapes who they couldn't care less who they sold these to.
Mm.
Look, what I've noticed, Jimmy, is around my area at least, um, that there are a lot of young people, particularly in the last month or so. I've noticed a lot less vaping. And the young people, I'm talking from age 17 to 21 type of age group, are starting to smoke again.
Yeah. I have not seen anyone, I can't remember the last time I saw anyone, or let alone teenagers vaping.
Right.
I have seen teenagers smoking, as they're walking home from school and what have you.
Not good, not good. That they're doing this to you, and I think you've had some some choice words there for Mark Butler and friends, and those who lobbied Mark Butler for the most recent changes. Um,
I think, look, if I could say one other thing to them, and that is, look at the evidence, look at the United Kingdom, look at New Zealand. New Zealand has just achieved smoke-free status, officially smoke-free status. Have a look at places like Sweden and, I think is it Holland, where nicotine's available not only in vapes, it's electronic cigarettes. It's available as snus
yeah,
and and what have you, and places where these things are readily available to consenting adults above a certain age. They don't have the problem with the black market. They don't have a problem with um,
yeah,
it's working in other places around the world, and yet Butler turns around and says, "Well, no, we're going to do it differently in Australia, and to save a few kids from vaping, we're going to just ban the whole thing and put a prohibition style in." And just create a lot of heartache, a lot of anxiety, and a lot of hatred actually from vapers towards him, because he's making things unnecessarily difficult, and it's just not going to achieve. It's going to achieve nothing, and it's all going to fail. It's already failing. And you know that there's evidence of that.
Absolutely,
Very clear.
absolutely, and it's not only anecdotal evidence. You've only got to look outside down the street, your local black and gold, red and black chemist. That's chemist rather, your black market tobacconist vape shop that have literally taken over a legitimate industry of late to see how much that's failed. It's taken over a legitimate industry and compromised what goes into whose hands. Look, there's only just one signal of failure. There's lots of signals of failure besides that, and the fire bombings, and that is the massive amount of people in Australia returning to smoking. And look, we're just glad that you haven't gone back to smoking, because after hearing your story today, Dimmy, that is something that we don't want to contemplate. You're a lovable character. Uh, dare I say, some people might call you a true blue Australian. You've gone through a bit, and you're through the other side, you know?
Look, I've been down in the gutter and I've been through a lot of shit, but it's not to say that other people haven't. Everyone's got their own journey and everyone's had their own, demons to wrestle with. I've had mine, and at 67, I'll be 68 in March. I'm not an old man, but I'm not young. And I have come through the other side relatively unscathed. But I just think regulate the vaping industry like it was before Butler went and stuck his nose into it and changed everything. As of what was it, the first? Well, okay, disposables, get rid of them. They're bad news.
Right.
Okay, some will argue that. Just regulate it like they do in the United Kingdom and in New Zealand. Make sure that you show proof of age when you go to buy your vape and your e-liquid. Keep it out as much the hands of kids, and get back to where we were, so that we don't have to turn around and go, oh shit, where am I going to get my next e-liquid or nicotine or whatever you from, or I'm running out of coils.
Yeah.
I just think the situation we are in at the moment is beyond ridiculous. Money's at the bottom of it or at the top of it all when it comes down to it.
Yeah.
Really.
Sadly,
Sadly,
that is right. Yeah. Without a quit industry, there wouldn't be a quit industry anymore. Without smoking, there wouldn't be a necessary for a quit industry. That means taxpayers of Australia could be saving millions. In fact, collectively, when we're looking at the spend up this year and last year towards trying to stamp out vaping, trying to to end tobacco campaigns and lots more, we're talking potentially billions going forward to be saved, and funding quick campaigns that have no KPIs, no return on investment figures available,
right.
no matter how far deep you go. So the fact of the matter,
the documentary last night, that do you know nicotine, or how well do you know nicotine?
it says it was a statement. You don't know nicotine.
You don't know nicotine. When it spoke about the billions of dollars that, like, the Bloombergs are putting in to the anti-cancer type, foundations who are clearly anti-vaping and trying to stamp out e-cigarettes and alternative sources of nicotine, the money that is involved there, it's ridiculous. There are people whose, if they didn't have to try and continually stamp out smoking or cancer or whatever it is, they wouldn't have a job.
Exactly. So and therein lies the question marks. If you look at it from their shoes, hang on, they've survived on a public health money train, a big golden teat, if you like, of public money for decades trying to stamp out smoking. Vaping is stamping out smoking. It is the most effective quitting aid, the most popular quitting aid or smoking alternative on the planet, that just happens to help a lot more people quit than any other NRT by at least
Absolutely.
3 to 4 fold. And don't believe me. Have a look at the science. Have a look at Cochrane, the latest Cochrane review by Oxford University, and lots more. I'll be helping out with that sort of thing and having more of those links on our Alive Advocacy Movement.com website. Or if you need more information, please reach out for sure.
The
But
science and the evidence is there. It's just that there are people who are in power who can make these laws who choose to ignore it.
Yeah, absolutely.
For whatever reason, you know.
Yeah, well, soon. Look, I'm gonna throw you a little bit on the spot here, Demi. Before we get out of here, I was really kind of hoping, and I think you got an idea this might be coming.
Oh, no. Oh, you're wanting me to play a song?
Yeah, I was thinking something like True Blue. Let's go out with this, all right. And thank you so much for joining us, Demi. And
this wasn't my idea, and I knew Pippa was going to put me on the spot. Look, I haven't got the words in front of me, so I'll probably stuff it up, but I can give you just a few bars.
Exactly. If you don't know the words, join in anyway. He's going to take us out with a little bit of True Blue. Thank you, Demi, for coming on and sharing your story. You truly are a True Blue character.
Welcome. Thank you, Pip, for having me. Okay.
All right, let's go out. One and only Demi.
Hey, True Blue, is it me and you? Is it mom and dad? Is it a cockatoo? Is it standing by your mate when she's in a fight? Oh, won't she be right? True Blue, I'm telling you. Hey, True Blue, is it me and you? Hey, True Blue.
Beautiful. Don't forget to head over to Alive Advocacy Movement.com. Follow us on all the social medias. We're on Facebook. We're on X. We're on Instagram. We are even on TikTok now. Go figure. Go and check it out. And we'll see you soon.